Hello again. Welcome to episodes 5 and 6. There's going to be so much content going on here that we're going to chop this up into 2 episodes. And we're really going to talk about wealth creation here. Okay, so this will be interesting. All right, so I'm getting a lot of questions coming in from people asking about money. And I'm certainly flattered that many of you believe that I'm good with money and that I am a good steward of it. And I know a couple things about it, but I certainly don't claim to be an expert. And I think there's a lot of people that could pick my stuff apart. And you're more than welcome to pick it apart. Aladdin Ganabegovich is the fella that sent me in a lot of these questions. Now, Aladdin, he was the last guy that I saw right before I got the coronavirus. So, Aladdin, I'm watching you here, man. I'm watching you, Aladdin. Interesting fun fact about Aladdin. In 8th grade, he lost the school spelling bee because he misspelled the word entrepreneur. Interesting, right? That's interesting. So he put together a slew of money-related questions. Building savings, making your money work for you, becoming debt-free, scaling an org, basic financials 101. So again, when I say that the next 2 episodes, 5 and 6, we're going to talk about wealth creation, I've basically got 4 steps. This episode 5, I'm going to break down steps 1 and 2. And then on the next episode, I'm going to break down steps 3 and 4. All right. So that's what we're going to dive into. And again, so this is just get your financial cap on. Let's talk about this and let's see where this thing goes. So first things first, I want to talk about the difference between income and passive income, because I think that's a good place to start. Okay. We're all familiar with income. Okay. We all know what income is. Income is the money you earn from the work that you do. Okay, so there's work associated with the money or the income. Passive income is still income. It's still money coming in, but the word passive means you don't have to work for it anymore. Okay, it's override income. It's rental income. It's dividends, it's stock market gains, it's money that is working for you, and it's passive income. So the goal, okay, this is kind of what I think a good place to start is like the goal, okay, the mathematical equation that I've always had when it comes to like creating wealth. PI, the passive income. The money you make without having to do the work must exceed the cost of living. I mean, just think about this. If your cost of living is X, okay, a little bar chart, but the passive income is greater than the cost of living, guess what? You can retire. You don't have to work anymore. You've won the game. Now, this comes from the game, really, cash flow. Again, if you want to talk about winning the game, Robert Kiyosaki created a great game. You know, funny fact, I mean, the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad was really the user manual for the game cash flow. And so the people that were looking at the boards and should we do business with Robert, they're like, dude, this is unbelievable. You should turn this into a book. So that's kind of Robert's story. But if you've played the game cash flow, highly recommended. I've always said it's like Monopoly on steroids, okay? If you've played the game cash flow, the goal is that everybody's got a cost of living card. You've got an occupation card, and there's a cost of living associated with that. The doctor has higher expenses than the janitor, so to speak. But the name of the game, regardless of the occupation, is you got to get the passive income at a point where it's greater than the cost of living. And when that happens, you leave the rat race little wheel and you get to move on to the dream board. You get to move to the dream board. So just quick math with this, okay? Let's just say, I know this might sound a little crazy. But let's just say you had $10 million. Okay, you won the lottery, you got $10 million, okay? After taxes, $10 million. And it's earning you a conservative 5%. So it's funny, when I talk to anybody who's like a financial advisor or analysis, I think by law, financial advisors can only predict your growth at 12%. Anything beyond 12% is unethical, I think. I could be wrong with that, but you guys could fact check that. But I think if they're going to give you any forecasting, you can't forecast beyond 12%. And again, I'm saying I'm being conservative with a number like 5%, okay? Because listen, some years the market's going to do unbelievable, other years not so hot, but can you at least get me 5%? And I think anybody in the financial industry would be like, so, of course I can get you 5%. So let's just say you had 10 million at 5%. Well, 5% of that is going to be 500,000 per year. So if you had $10 million working for you at a 5% return, you're pulling in 500 grand after tax. You know, your governments want a little piece of that sucker. Let's just say you're left with $300,000 of passive income after tax. And let's just say you have a lifestyle that costs you $4,000 per week. Okay, so some would say, oh, that's a great lifestyle. Okay, $4,000 a week at 50 weeks of the year, to make it easy math, is $200,000. You've got $300,000 coming in. You've got $200,000 coming out. Again, congratulations. You win. You can retire. You're wealthy. Now the question is, okay, how do I go about getting $10 million? Because if I had $10 million, sure, I can play this math here with you, Jamie. This is great. Now, I remember hearing years ago, and I think there's some genius to this. I remember somebody asking Larry Tenenbaum, you know, one of my old mentors way back in the day, like, hey, Larry, I want to be a millionaire. Like, how do I become a millionaire? And he said, well, just save $1 million. Now, again, wasn't the answer. You know, the look on the gentleman's face was like, that's not what I wanted to hear. But he's right. Just save $1 million. That's how you become a millionaire. I mean, there is a path to getting to that number that you want. And that's what we're going to break down in these 4 steps. But I want to start off with the framework of really, what is the goal? Like, how do you define becoming wealthy? And again, in just summary, I want the passive income exceeding the cost of living. There's a number associated with that. What kind of cost of living do you want? What kind of money do you need coming in? That's a good starting point on the road to creating wealth. All right, so step 1 is dream. This should be a fun, of the 4 steps, this should be a real fun step. Dream. Clearly articulate what you want. Okay, so in the world of, again, wealth creation, we're just talking about, like, what do I really want that's going to cost money? I want to give you a couple practical exercises. Like, okay, well, like, what do you mean? Okay, there's a new person coming into a motivated, driven, entrepreneurial culture. That would probably be the best way I could say it. I saw these dream boards or these poster boards around the office on the walls. Hey, Jamie, come over here. Come check out mine. Hey, this is the home that I want to have, you know, cut out from Rob Report magazine or something like that. Here's the car that I want to have. Here's the vacation home I want to have. Here's where I want to travel. And I was kind of blown away and impressed as a new person coming in how everybody thought big. And there's an old saying, once you stretch a mind, it never goes back to its original shape. Once you stretch a mind to think big, it's really hard to think small. So start thinking big. What do you want? So I remember as uncomfortable as it was, like, okay, I guess I'm going to make me a dream board. Go to the office supply store, get myself a nice piece of poster board. And then, okay, I need some magazines and start cutting this stuff out. I'm telling you, it's a source of motivation. It's a piece of rocket fuel. I've said for a long time too, with smartphones, you've got 2 opportunities with your smartphone. You've got your lock screen and your unlock screen. Those are 2 opportunities to something that really motivates you. You ever need some little pick-me-up or things aren't going your way? You look at your phone, you're like, oh yeah, that inspires me, that motivates me. That's really what step 1 is. clearly identify what you want, have your goals. Okay, so I said two practical things to give you. One is creating a poster board. And if that seems a little cheesy, maybe try this. Why don't you try re-engineering your life? Okay, now engineering your life looks something like this. You get a job that's got limited income coming in, and so you got to engineer the finances. You have to put budgets around that money coming in. But let's just be idealistic for a second. Let's dream a little bit. Like, okay, before I figure out how to get the money coming in, what does the money going out look like? Let me re-engineer my life. Like, let's come up with some line items, like the home that I want. You guys go to Redfin, go to Zillow, look at the home you want. There's a number for that. Put that number down. You going to pay cash for that? Probably not. You can certainly factor in interest as well too. You can, again, you've got your home, you've got the interest, you've got how many cars you're going to have over the next 40 years of your life. You can start adding this stuff up. There is a number to it. Just an interesting story. Years ago, when I went to Brad and Brandy's house in Buckhead, Georgia. Unbelievable house. I mean, you walk in the house, I think it's 10,000 square feet. So kind of easy to get lost. There's a movie theater room and all this stuff going on. And I'm like, a couple comments, one of them was, Brandy, your house is so big. By the time you're done cleaning it, you got to go back and start over and re-clean it again. And she's like, Jamie, I hire maids to clean the house. I'm like, well, good call out, Brandy. Good call out. Save yourself some time. And I said the second thing that came to mind is after doing the tour, I'm just like, oh man, are you guys ever lucky? And I remember how insulted Brandy looked. Like, luck. Like, she goes, Jamie, this is why I did the business. This was part of the plan. And I'm nodding and I'm like, this is part of the plan. This is part of the thinking big. What's your life really going to cost you? And then start attacking. Again, engineering life versus re-engineering life. Engineering life, let me just start attacking, get the job. Okay, now there's only so much money coming in and now I've got a budget. I'm just saying, be idealistic. I think most people that are watching this are probably younger. And hey, listen, you're allowed to dream right now, man. You got your whole life in front of you. So what kind of life do you want? Come up with that number, because there is a number for that life. Come up with that poster board. This is all part of wealth creation. That is step number one. Step number two, master the two wealth drivers. There are two wealth drivers. Driver number one, how do I reduce my cost of living? This is the not fun driver, okay? How do I bring my cost of living down, okay? Benjamin Franklin, a penny saved is a penny earned. I mean, there's a lot of wisdom and truth to that. I like throwing out book references since I'm making these videos, but The Millionaire Next Door, this is a real interesting book written by two nerds. Maybe I shouldn't call them nerds, but they're not household name authors. Thomas Stanley and William Danko. They were basically hired by big companies like Procter & Gamble to figure out, hey, who are really the wealthy people in America? What do they do for a living? Where do they live? What do they drive? I mean, they wanted to figure out how to really market the wealthy people. And so a couple interesting things from this book, but one of the takeaways from this book is the wealthy people in America believe that financial independence is more important than displaying high social status. As you can probably tell by now, I do like math. I like mathematical equations. Financial independence is more important than displaying high social status. Doesn't mean that they don't display high social status. Just means when they have to put them on a scale, listen, financial independence is more important. So interesting, you've probably heard this before about America, funny quote about America. Like, yeah, Americans, they spend money they don't have to buy things they don't need to impress others they don't even like in the first place. Straight out of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Okay, straight out of another great book by Robert Kiyosaki. Um, the average 18-year-old in America has a higher net worth than the average 65-year-old. Well, I'm going back through my memory. My net worth at the age of 18 was approximately zero. Yeah, I think most people at the age of 18, your net worth is zero. So what are you saying? Most people at the age of 65, it's less than zero? Yeah, I mean, again, straight out of Rich Dad Poor Dad. The average American spends 101% of their earnings. Well, how do you spend 101%? That math doesn't add up. Finance it. I mean, it used to bug me as a kid watching car commercials where, the car is $19,999. I'm like, Dad, why don't they just say it's $20,000? Like, why do they $19,999? Oh yeah, just marketing gimmicks and stuff like that. Well, today's car commercials, they don't even tell you the cost of the car anymore. They just tell you what the monthly payment is. They advertise the monthly payment. All the money that they're making off these financial instruments that collect interest is unbelievable. I read a stat, don't ask me where I got this, but I read a stat that the average American household, 30% of the expenditures, so 30% of the money going out, is towards interest. There's interest on your home, there's interest on your car, there's interest on the fridge, there's interest on the student loans. So what can I do? So again, let's just get back to this. Master the two wealth drivers. Well, driver number one is lower my cost. What can I do? I'll just tell you a funny story with me. Moving to Southern California, there were two great institutions that I discovered when I got here. One was In-N-Out Burger, where I'm like, wow, they really hit a home run with In-N-Out Burger. The second was Ross Dress for Less. And I remember, coming in, strutting into the office on a Monday morning. I'm like, hey guys, ooh, Jamie's got some new clothes on. I'm like, yeah, that's right, guys, check it out. How much you think this shirt costs? Ooh, I don't know. What's Ralph Lauren? Ooh, $60, $70? And I'm like, no, I paid $5. $5, yeah. The little horsies down here on the belly, instead of on the pocket, but a little bit of a issue. But hey, it's a Ralph Lauren polo shirt. Got it for $5 at Ross. So I can do things. There are things I can do to lower my costs. You can take a look at all of the subscriptions that are out there from Hulu to Netflix, and the list goes on. Anything that's got a monthly recurring charge, an MRC, those are the ones to look out for the most. Are there MRCs that I can eliminate? Because it's really hard to reduce your costs when you're stuck on so many MRCs. Okay, so even like living arrangements, like, I know it sucks for, I've interviewed people that live in downtown San Francisco that went to college. I'm like, how did you go to college living in downtown San Francisco? Oh yeah, there were like 6 of us in a studio. That must have been uncomfortable. I tell my kids, what some of my living conditions were like. They never knew their dad in his 20s, but dad in the 20s, yeah, I lived with like 12 people in a 3-bedroom apartment. Dad, why would you do that? I'm like, you have any idea what my rent was? I think I was paying $150 to $200 a month in rent. So just note this. Here's really the catchphrase to this. If you live like no one else, later you can live like no one else. Okay, so part of the entrepreneur's kind of credo, if you will. I've kind of seen this on posters and stuff over the years. Entrepreneurs live like a peasant for their first 5 years of business so they can live like a king or queen for the rest of their lives. So you really got to buy in to go on counterculture on this. I know it's tough, especially with social media, and you want to keep a good profile, you want to keep a good image, but you can do that on a budget. There are things, everybody's challenged here with this, are there things you can do to bring your cost of living down? Because if you can, you are mastering your wealth driver, your first of the 2 wealth drivers. Lower your cost of living. Look for opportunities to lower your cost. The second driver is the opposite arrow. How do I make more money? Okay? Jamie, you kind of lost me with the whole reduce your costs. Okay? I don't like that driver. I get it. Nobody likes that driver, but it is a necessary muscle to build. The other muscle to build is, okay, so how do I make more? Okay. And so this is what I tell my children, and I mean this with all the sincerity. I don't care what they want to do when they get older. Like, what's your vocation? I don't care. I don't care if you want to be a pro athlete. I don't care if you want to be a doctor. Right now, my middle child wants to be a baker. She's good at it. She likes baking. She puts on her little apron, her hat. And so I said, hey, I'll be your best customer. You know, you run your little bakery and dad will be there. I'll be there every day. I'll be 400 pounds, but I'll be your best customer, okay? I don't care what she wants to do. The only thing that I care about, okay, is that in the world of the bell curve, you live over here. You're just really good at what you do. Whatever you want to do doesn't matter to me. Just be really good at what you want to do. So in our little personal family HEP huddle, we talk about the HEP values, and one of our values is excellence. Just whatever it is you're going to do, just give it your best. Be excellent at it. So in any industry, you can kind of do a little cross-section of this. I mean, I heard in years ago, a Screen Actors Guild, the average SAG member in Hollywood made $3,500 per year. Like the average, like $3,500. I'm like, $3,500? You got some people over here making $20 million for a movie kind of thing. Like the average is $3,500. Wow. But you can take any industry and you look at the top 10%, there's money in that. You look at the top 10% of golfers, there's some money in that. You look at the average, probably not. So whatever it is you're going to do, you just got to be committed to excellence, and you will find the money coming your way. In a previous episode, I talked about, just the analogy of a goose that lays golden eggs. I mean, if we all had this goose, this magical goose that could lay golden eggs, I mean, wouldn't you feed that goose organic food? Would you keep that goose up all night watching movies and playing video games, vaping, smoking cigarettes, feeding it? I mean, no way. It's like, no, Jamie, this thing lays golden eggs. I mean, I am brushing this goose. I'm taking care of it. Look at all this organic stuff. Me and my goose, we only eat at Whole Foods. I mean, you take care of that goose laying the golden eggs. You are the goose with the capacity of golden egg laying here. You got to take care of you. I mean, that's the only way you can really be excellent in anything that you do. So again, it just starts with that mindset that whatever it is I'm pursuing, I am pursuing with excellence. People line up for excellence. Nobody lines up for average. You go online onto, oh, here's a restaurant on Yelp. Oh, it's got a 3-star review. I guess 3 is average. It's right in between 1 and 5. Well, let me book a reservation. Go figure. Nobody's going there. It's the restaurants that are 5 stars. It's the restaurant that, out of 300 reviews, all but 4 of them are 5-star reviews. Man, good luck getting a reservation. People line up for excellent. Nobody lines up for average. So just in whatever it is you're doing, you got to be on this piece of the bell curve. I really buy into that. Now, in our particular business, I say, listen, what's our expertise? What do you got to be excellent in? And I've narrowed it down to 3 things. You don't have to be excellent at 500 different things. You just got to be excellent at 3 in the world of, again, mastering wealth drivers, knowing how to drive revenue up. You got to know how to be great in these 3 areas for this particular business. 1 is sales and sales training. You got to know how to sell, and you've got to know how to replicate. Just in all simple terms, I've always looked at it like I am the product. I don't care what it is I'm representing. I don't care where it is that I'm representing it. It's me that people buy. So I've got to know how to really be great at marketing myself, selling myself. And I've got to be great at taking the new guy, training somebody, and really replicating those skills, being systematic. If I don't know what's working for me, how am I going to teach it? So I've got to be really clear and self-aware of what's working, and I've got to be really clear on my ability to teach that to other people. Okay? I've heard somebody broke down the math. Listen, if you want to be a consultant in our business, you need 100 leaders. Like, just do the math, you need 100. So it starts with you, and then multiplying yourself. Might sound like a big number. Oh, 100 sounds like a big number, but that's all the way to becoming a consultant. On the road to becoming an owner, the number is 4 times, just 4. So you got to get good, and you got to be able to get your people good. So sales training. 2, you got to be a magnetic recruiter. You got to know how to get LeBron James on the bus. There's a funny interview, I think, that Jimmy Kimmel did with Magic Johnson on how Magic acquired LeBron James to the Lakers. And again, just a funny story. He's talking about it. He's sitting in LeBron's driveway for I don't know how long, but he's kind of rehearsing the spiel. And it's like, wow, a guy as gifted as Magic, right? A guy as gifted as Magic still gets nervous. He still has to rehearse the pitch. And he knows the importance, like a guy like LeBron, he knows he can play on any team. I got to give LeBron the compelling reasons on why you want to be a Laker, why you want to be a part of this organization. And obviously, Magic succeeded in recruiting LeBron. So you got to know how to be that magnetic recruiter. It starts with knowing who it is that you want to recruit. So you're not trying to necessarily recruit the world. Have a picture of the person that you're looking to recruit. Now, I don't necessarily mean a physical picture, but like, what are the attributes of the person you're looking for? Just my little honing in on my recruiting over the years, I want the 3 C's. I want somebody with character, confidence, and charisma. The charisma is easy to judge. Quickly you can look at people and like, oh, this person's like, is good at talking with people. They're a good listener, and they know how to really light up. And like, again, in the world of what I'm doing in sales and recruiting, that's kind of important. I want somebody that's likable. So I want the charisma. Confidence. Listen, I don't want somebody that's broken. You can't win the Kentucky Derby with a broken old donkey. I mean, you need a stallion. You need the horse that's hard to put a saddle on. But you want somebody with confidence. I want somebody that knows they're good. Somebody that doesn't need to try to impress other people. I already know I'm good. So somebody with confidence is fitting the description of the person I'm looking for. And just somebody with outstanding character. Somebody that cares. Somebody that is into significance rather than just success. Like they want to do something special with their lives. So again, that's just my little big 3 on what I'm looking for in the world of headhunting. But you got to know who it is that you're looking for, and you got to be a magnetic recruiter. You got to know how to attract talent to your game, to your business. And the third thing you got to be great at is you got to be a great people developer. I mean, really, if you want to break it down to its simplest terms, are you a lifter or are you a leaner? Are people better because of meeting you? Or are they just sort of meh or average or like not? But you really want to be somebody that takes an interest in the development of other people, take an interest in I mean, I've just always found it fascinating, like just the psychology of taking somebody kind of like this, that's just kind of like, I don't know if I can do it, and just kind of building that confidence and building the skill set and just watching somebody just sort of get into their element and just really grow into who it is that they're supposed to be. I just find that to be fascinating. So that's always what attracted me to this business, is the whole people development side at it. Just get real good at it. When I look at my library and all the books that I read, I mean, 90% of the books I'm reading are all on leadership and developing other people. I know that's a skill set I want to be good at. It's something that takes time to study and learn. But if you're great at developing confidence and you're great at developing people and you're fascinated by that, I mean, welcome to our business. You're in the great line of work. But those are really the 3 areas to master, at least in this specific trade. But again, back to the macro picture here. Step 2 in becoming wealthy is master the 2 wealth drivers. Know how to reduce your costs and know how to increase your revenue. Know how to increase your money stream coming in. That is step number 2. More to follow in a separate video for steps 3 and 4. Hope you enjoyed.